We know that the suspected murderer, indeed terrorist, Taleb al-Abdul Mohsen, who ploughed his vehicle into a crowd of people at a Christmas market in Magdeburg, Germany, was anti-Muslim and a cheerleader of far-right movements and personalities. We know because he had a Twitter account with over 120,000 tweets posted over the course of 8 years, in which he made clear his strident anti-Muslim views and flaunted his support for Germany's far-right party, the AfD, and the likes of far-right Dutch leader Geert Wilders, who he called a hero, as well as citing Elon Musk and Tommy Robinson and so on as inspirations. We know he advocated imprisoning or executing Angela Merkel for supposedly helping Islamize Europe. She's the former German Chancellor. We know he was a committed supporter of Israel. We know his Twitter profile denounces Germany for wanting to, in quotes, Islamize Europe. We know he appeared in a BBC documentary discussing his atheism and how he was attempting in his work to get other non-believers from the Middle East to come to Germany. And yet, when the attack first happened, Islamophobic right-wing accounts went into overdrive, seizing on the attack as yet more fodder for an anti-Muslim crusade. You might think the overwhelming evidence would lead them to discard their mistaken premature conclusion. Think again. Instead, they are doubling down and pushing a conspiracy theory that he is, in fact, a secret Islamist. Let's start, shall we, with John Aziz, who presents himself as a sensible centrist moderate. He posted footage of the suspect being apprehended by gun-wielding German police officers. He writes, "Here is a question. If the suspect in the Christmas market attack is an ex-Muslim and an atheist, then why was he screaming Allahu Akbar at 17 seconds into this video when he was being arrested?" The far-right account, Visegrad24, posts the, in inverted quotes, Islamophobic and inverted quotes, ex-Muslim, i.e. sowing doubt. Magdeburg terrorist shouts Allahu Akbar during his arrest. That has, by the way, that tweet, 38,000 likes and counting. Here's the footage. So the claims about this footage have spread across Twitter like wildfire, but he didn't say Allahu Akbar. As German speakers have pointed out, he says alles klar, understood, in response to the police saying don't move or no movement. And indeed, Arabic speakers have also been keen to emphasise it doesn't sound anything like what is being deceitfully claimed. Now, underlining how Elon Musk has turned Twitter into an engine of right-wing disinformation and misinformation, he's tweeted about the terror suspect, saying the atheist angle was a scam to avoid extradition. So what's the claim here? That he spent years adopting a persona backed up his actual activity of getting atheists out of the Middle East, and had spent 8 years promoting anti-Muslim right-wing politics on Twitter so he could stage an attack in which he wouldn't even state the supposed real reasons for the attack, thus advancing no cause, even whatever warped logic there you would use for that cause. How does that make sense? It doesn't make sense, of course, and there's no evidence for it, unlike all the evidence pointing in one direction, including that the attacker was a fan of Elon Musk, which he made very clear indeed. He also promoted a video that is Elon Musk claiming that the suspect was practicing a supposed tenet of Islam, which experts in Islam point out is completely unknown to most Muslims, of supposedly practicing deception to advance the religious cause. Again, if you believe he subscribes to a warped and heretical interpretation of Islam that justifies ploughing a vehicle into a Christmas market, how does that make sense if you don't make clear what your motive is and leave people with the impression you're an anti-Muslim atheist? This baseless conspiracy theory is just that, baseless. There's no evidence for it. Literally zero. It is a fantasy. But Elon Musk shared that fantasy, stating, WTF is the German press saying. Most people in Europe still think the legacy press is real when it's pure propaganda. Please send them links to X so they can know what's actually going on. So he's openly admitting here that he sees Twitter, or X as he keeps trying to call it, an engine of disinformation to convince people of lies in order to promote hateful political causes. I mean, that's what in practice he's doing here. He's telling people to disregard what the actual evidence says, claim that's lies, and then back a conspiracy theory based with no evidence and using X, Twitter, whatever, in order to promote that. Indeed, he shared the account End Wokeness, which screenshotted media headlines noting the suspect is Islamophobic, which has the caption, "We really don't hate the media enough," adding, and Elon Musk adds to that, "Legacy media lies again." I mean, also, to be honest, legacy media has pushed Islamophobia for years. I mean, one of the reasons that Islamophobia, anti-Muslim bigotry was mainstreamed is because of the legacy media. Now, it's notable that the suspect's Twitter account was suspended. When it was reinstated, all the posts from before November 2024 were deleted, as well as the search function as profile being deactivated in an effort to erase his actual views. Indeed, after years of relentless anti-Muslim bile, of demonising Muslims, of portraying them as innately violent, even as Western powers have slaughtered predominantly Muslim citizens in Iraq, Afghanistan and Palestine. One academic study suggests 4.5 million predominantly Muslims were killed in the post-9/11 wars. I mean, with Twitter now in the hands of an extremist, this lie is being lapped up by extremists who, of course, willingly embrace an alternative reality. One far-right account has screenshotted me, for example, discussing how the terrorist suspect is a far-right anti-Muslim pro-Israel extremist, adding, "This aged well, Owen," with a frown emoji and a clown emoji. Now, this tweet has amassed 12,000 likes. These people are so radicalised, so convinced of total lies, that they believe that those who work on the basis of what the actual evidence says are delusional and even liars. Indeed, Leo Kearse, a so-called comedian and presenter of the hard-right GB News channel, refers to my factual description of the politics of the suspect, stating, "This is a genuine tweet by a journalist for The Guardian, Britain's leading left-wing newspaper. The Guardian quit Twitter recently because of bias and misinformation." Yes, really. What's he talking about? What's this guy talking about? Where's the misinformation in my tweet? I'm just summing up the publicly stated views of the suspect, as has been stated by him over and over again for years on Twitter. Now, on his GB News channel show, the panel pushes this conspiracy theory. No balance whatsoever in this panel whatsoever. What is Ofcom doing? It's just a panel of people who agree with each other, directing viewers to disbelieve what the evidence suggests. Let's have a listen.
And this man, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, but he was a right-wing sympathiser." Well, why didn't he attack a mosque?
Yeah, I mean,
make it make sense for me, please.
Yeah, his actions don't align
Christians?
with what's being said about him, exactly. Nicholas, which is one of the things that I can't get my head around. People are so quick to jump to blame the far right because he's tweeted before in support for the AFD. But this guy doesn't seem to be doing, anything that, a supposedly far-right person would be doing. He's behaving in the same manner as previous Islamist attacks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you need to judge him by what he has done, not by any presumably pro-AFD previous tweets. The thing is, the media, just like mainstream parties, are totally in denial. And that's why people go towards the likes of AFD.
What are they talking about? The idea that far-right violence isn't a thing is quite the position to take, given the attack happened in Germany, a state which produced the worst example of far-right violence ever seen in human history. Indeed, one of the worst actual terrorist attacks in Europe was in 2011, by the way, in Norway, when a far-right terrorist slaughtered dozens of young socialists. On what grounds? They supported mass immigration and thus the Islamisation of Europe. This terrorist had convinced himself that Germany had abandoned so-called Western values and was pushing dangerous Islamisation. That's the basis of his radicalisation. Now, I love it when this so-called comedian says people are so quick to blame the far-right because he's tweeted in support of the AfD. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good evidence, actually, given that's what he believes. He backs a far-right party. Yeah, I think the evidence is pretty clear there. Then someone else on the panel called Nicholas DeSanto, also a right-wing comedian, though I looked up his work and it is some of the most awful, embarrassing, unfunny material I've ever had the misfortune to listen to. But anyway, he says we should judge him by what he's done, not by any presumably pro-AFD previous tweets. What does that mean? What we know is the suspect is alleged to have committed an act of terrible violence. That doesn't tell us motive. That's why we have to work on the basis of his stated beliefs. As it happens, we have hundreds of thousands of words going back years, which set out those beliefs. Now, look, it's clear what's happening here, isn't it, guys? A wave of far-right extremism is being propelled by shameless lies, naked lies. Those lies are succeeding in radicalising significant numbers of people. And it doesn't matter what the actual truth is. They will embrace every lie that justifies hatred and bigotry. With Elon Musk as king of Twitter, there is a hugely powerful means of radicalising ever more recruits, which is why it's important that the rest of us tell the truth as loudly as we can. Please like and subscribe. Help us take on these lies at patreon.com/OJS84. Listen to the podcast. Leave comments. Subscribe. Like. Speaking a bit.